with another video, and today's video is actually very different than what I usually do. Today's video is just going to be an unboxing of the Colourpop Legend of Korra collection. I actually have the Colourpop Avatar The Last Airbender palette here, so you guys can see the similarities to the color story, or just the color story side by side in general. And I will be swatching everything, but first, before we start swatching, I want to mention everything that is included in this collection. So we have the Legend of Korra pressed powder palette, 2 Fresh Kiss Lip Crèmes, 2 Graphix Ink Liners, 4 Chrome Liquid Eyeshadows, and 1 Super Shock Highlighter. So I have the descriptions for all the products here. So the 2 liquid liners, you just saw me holding this in my hand, and this is the outside of the packaging. Now, if you have the Avatar collection, then you know fairly well the packaging of the Avatar collection had gold designs around it. This one has bronze around it, so you can see the similarities and how they're like sisters or whatnot. So I think the packaging is just very beautiful, the bronze details around it. So we have the boxes, so I could show you the name. We just have these 2 ink liquid or graphic ink liners in the shade Korra and in the shade Heart to Heart, which is the Asami eyeliner. So the Korra's and Asami eyeliners, and I already have those swatched in my hands for you. So the Korra Asami graphic liner, or Korra's eyeliner, is just described to be a denim blue, which is the one over here. And then the Asami eyeliner, or Heart to Heart eyeliner, is just described to be a deep warm burgundy color, which is right over here. Now I'm just gonna clean that off, and we can go ahead and swatch everything else. So everything will be swatched on my hands except for the eyeshadows, which I'll just, from looking at the 2 next to each other, I will tell you the differences I see, and hopefully that will help, as well as when I show it to you right next to each other. So I am going to actually save the lip products to be swatched for last. And the second thing I am going to end up swatching for you guys is the Chrome eyeliners. So, not Chrome eyeliners, I meant the Chrome Liquid Shadows. I am so sorry. But yeah, there are 4 Chrome Liquid Eyeshadows that have this multi-chrome shift to them, and those will be the descriptions that I will be reading for you guys next. So hopefully that will help you pick or choose if you want all of them, or if you want none of them, if you want 2 or 1 of them. So this, I'm just gonna make sure everything is flipped correctly first. So we have water and fire on my left hand, and earth and air on my right hand, and this is just the packaging for them. Each of them, a more close-up, has the symbols right over here to represent each of the elements. I am going to swatch for you first the Water Chrome Liquid Eyeshadow, and they're fairly tiny. This is a new formula from Colourpop, and because I am filming in natural lighting, no artificial light, you will get to see the shifts in natural lighting instead of a dark light, or in any other light such as an artificial light. So if you are wearing these chrome shadows outside in natural lighting and you're not in a building where there's artificial light like school or work, then you will be able to see how it looks like in natural lighting. So first one is water, and it says make waves with this multi-chrome blue, violet to teal. So that's just a shift of the water one. And I know my hand is in a weird position, but I'm trying my best to show you the shift by moving my hand around. And sorry if I ended up covering my face for a split second trying to position my hand. And second chrome liquid shadow is fire. That's just described to be or it says bring the heat with this multi-chrome. Bright copper, gold to green. So I'm going to show you guys the shift in a second while I get earth ready and open. So the shift for the fire one is the second one over here. And I don't know if you guys, if the camera's picking it up or if you guys can see that shift. I think you could probably see it a little bit. And then third multi-chrome would be earth. This is more sheer than the other two, and the doe foot applicator to all of them are flat. So earth says an earth bending multi-chrome, gold, green to terracotta. It's the third one that's right over here. And last but not least of all the multi-chromes that we have from this collection is air. So again, the air is just the same size as all the multi-chromes, and air says, sorry, my hair got in the way, be an airbender with this multi-chrome. Sorry, I need to swatch it first. So I can't see the shift as prominently because this one is the most pigmented out of all of them. It's harder. I think I can see the shift a little bit, but I think the air one, it has because it has more pigment, it's just harder to see those subtle shifts to them, if that makes sense. But what I was reading is be an airbender with this multi-chrome red, copper, olive, green. So it goes from red to copper to olive green, and it's just the fourth one that was swatched right over here. Now I'm going to take these off my hands so it can make room to swatch for the other stuff. The water one is the hardest to take off because it just stained my hand a little bit. But this is why I have the makeup remover. So I can get these swatches off as seamlessly as possible or as best as I can. And if all of it doesn't come off, that's fine. Then it will just look a little bit dirty, but I try to take it off as best as I can so it doesn't look dirty and it doesn't look like I just got bruised all over the place, since the shift for water does go from blue to violet to teal. But the thing is, the blue and the violet may look like I got bruised if you do not see the teal shift in the parts that were left on my hand. And for the next product I will be swatching for you all will be the highlighter. So the highlighter, I don't know why I said it like that, but the highlighter is called Spirit Wild, and it is inspired by the spirit animals. And this is just the packaging or the outside box. So each of the highlighters comes with a mirror, and each of the tie-dyes will look different inside for each person. So the way my tie-dye looks, when you get yours, it's obviously not going to look the same or might not look the same, but you'll get a general idea. So this is the mirror. It's covered, and I did not take the plastic peel off of it just yet. I will take it off later, but it is described to be a warm golden pinky champagne highlighter. So I'm just going to show you the close-up of it, and that will cover my face, but at least you get to see the tie-dye effect much closer. And I'm just going to swirl my finger around in this Super Shock highlighter, because that is the best way to pick up the Super Shock formulas from Colourpop is with your finger. Like, even if you've known Colourpop for a while, the best way to pick up their Super Shock eyeshadows is with your finger and apply it with your finger. So this is just the highlighter swatched. Again, it's just described to be a warm golden, my hand was blocking my face, warm golden pinky champagne shade, and it's very beautiful. It is just swatched right over here, and I feel like because the camera's not picking it up that well, but in real life I can see it, you can probably still tell if I'm wearing a highlighter, which I will probably try this highlighter when I do a look with the Legend of Korra palette. But basically, because it's so subtle and beautiful, it's more of a wearable highlighter. I feel like it goes well with my skin tone. I feel like it will melt into my skin just fine, and it's not going to be too dark. So as you can probably see, the packaging, the spirit animals are blue, and that's how they come out. But to be cohesive with the packaging of the bronze decoration all over the collection, that's what they put outside the highlighter. So it's the same spirit animals, and I do not remember their names, but basically now instead of being in blue, they're on this dusty pink packaging with their bronze decoration, and then the shadow name is on the back in case anyone forgets what it's named. You can always look back over here. So now the last thing I'm going to swatch is the lip products, but now is going to be a description of both of the eyeshadow palettes side by side, and I can show you the difference. I'm just gonna get it out of the box. So basically, this is the Legend of Korra eyeshadow palette. Sorry, my dog in the background. I was like, what is she doing? Anyway, so these are the palettes side by side, and you can definitely see how they're like sisters. How this one has the gold design to it, and how this one has the bronze design to it. Now I'm going to take them out of their sleeves and show it to you, the front of each of the palettes, and then I will show you the color stories next to each other as well as separately, so you guys can get an idea. And then after that, I will explain exactly the differences I notice, as well as any similarities or why people think the shades are fairly similar. So here are the two palettes right next to each other. Again, bronze design and the gold design. So these two palettes both open up like storybooks, and I am going to open up both of them to show you right next to each other, and then because it's kind of hard to hold both for long periods of time right next to each other, I'm going to have to show you closer up the color stories individually. But this is what the color stories look like side by side, and you can definitely see that they give off similar vibes. But one thing I noticed is that some of the shades in here are slightly darker, and some of the shades in here are slightly lighter or brighter, and vice versa. Some of the shades in here might be lighter and some of the shades in here might be darker. So now that you got to see the palettes side by side for a while right next to each other, I'm just going to move the Legend of Korra palette over here. This is what the Avatar palette looks like close up. I actually did a look with this palette, a first time look on video with you guys with this palette when I did the fiery look. So this color story you have definitely seen in my video before, but this is the first time you're seeing this color story, as this palette recently just came out the collection, the whole collection actually came out a few days ago, and this just only came yesterday. So this is the first time you're seeing this palette on my channel. And I will also be doing a look with this palette. This is actually one of the 3 palettes I still have left to do a look with. As you can see, it opens up like a storybook. And now I'm gonna put the palettes side by side to tell you the shades and how people might perceive them to be fairly similar. So Water Tribe in the Last Airbender palette is more of a white toned, lighter blue, close to a periwinkle kind of. And the water bending in the Legend of Korra palette is more of that brighter baby blue, kind of similar to how the blue looks like on the outside of this packaging, but slightly darker than that. So you can right away see a difference, and you can see that though they give off similar vibes, it's not the same shade. It's not a repetition. And Rebel Spirit does have that blue in the Legend of Korra palette. The Rebel Spirit does have that slight blue undertone to it, but Moon Spirit is more of a darker blue, periwinkle kind of darker blue. I cannot say the description for the shades, as I think they don't have the descriptions for the Legend of Korra, but for the Avatar Last Airbender palette, Water Tribe is described as a metallic baby blue with a violet duochrome finish. So you can see what I mean about that white undertone to it. And waterbending is, to me, more of a different shade of baby blue, but both of them, you know, still similar vibes. And Moon Spirit is, in the Last Airbender palette, is described to be a metallic mid-toned blue with violet and bright blue duochrome finish. So Rebel Spirit and Moon Spirit together to make a look. If you were to actually create a look with these two palettes combined, these two palettes complement each other very well. So Ice Shield and Change can be fairly similar to each other, but right away, Change is more of that navy blue color, while Ice Shield is more of that matte dusty denim blue color. And Change would give more depth than Ice Shield does, and Change is in the Legend of Korra palette. Ice Shield is in the Avatar The Last Airbender palette. And also in the Legend of Korra palette, you do not have any beige in there. You have two green shades, which I appreciate, and you do have a beige shade in the Last Airbender palette, but Legend of Korra took the opportunity to take the green from the Earth Kingdom, and Colourpop gave the audience the green they wanted. The earthbending shade is like the green that the earth benders in Legend of Korra, even Avatar The Last Airbender, just in general, wear. And then Quicksand and Spirits. Now, these, I think, both are gold-like kind of shades, but the thing about that is Quicksand is more of a metallic antique gold, while Spirits is a deepened golden color, and it's more depth to it, more of a darker shimmer than a lighter shimmer. As Quicksand, it's still pretty dark, but it's more of leaning mid-tone kind of to the light, or light to mid-tone would make more sense, but it's not as dark as the shade Spirit is. And then Earth Rumble and Earth Kingdom are very different tones of green. Now, Earth Rumble is more of that grungy, deeper green, whereas Earthbending, like I said before, is more of the kind of green you see the Earthbenders in bold shows wearing. And Fire Nation and Rebirth. Now, Fire Nation is a satin finish and Rebirth is a shimmer finish or metallic finish, but they are both orange. So Fire Nation is more of like a pumpkin orange, like that dark pumpkin orange, and Rebirth is more of a slightly brighter orange, and you can tell if you were to put both in the eyelids, you can definitely see that one is a shimmer and that one is a satin shade. It will act like a matte. And then Dancing Dragon and Harmony. So I'm just gonna read the description for Fire Nation, which is in the Avatar The Last Airbender palette. Fire Nation is described to be a matte burnt red orange with gold pinpoints. So again, as I said, that's the satin finish, but you can definitely see, and I didn't know if I should mention it until I read the description, but I should have just trusted myself. I did notice that there is, because it is a darker orange, and not just because it's like more of a pumpkin orange, you can kind of tell that Fire Nation does have that red undertone to it. So Dancing Dragons in the Last Airbender palette versus Harmony in the Legend of Korra palette. So Dancing Dragons is described to be a metallic, vibrant brick red, and Harmony to me is darker than what a cherry red would be. Like, Harmony is close to what someone would describe to be a burgundy shimmer shade. I am not good at describing shades. Again, the Legend of Korra is the first time I've seen Colourpop not have the descriptions for their eyeshadow palette shades, just the ingredients are placed there. So I am trying my best to explain what I see and how I perceive the colors as a makeup artist myself. I don't do makeup on anyone else except for myself. Sorry, I need to open the door for my dog. Pebbles, here we go, be careful. So, what I was saying was the two shades that are also fairly similar to each other is actually Airbending and Air Temple. And Air Temple is described to be a matte mustard shade, so it has a more golden undertone, whereas to me, Airbending looks still fairly gold, but lighter, and it has this brightness to it that Air Temple doesn't. So to me, Airbending leans more yellowish than gold, and Air Blast and Air can look fairly similar, but Air Blast has more of the, I don't want to knock over my iPad by accident because it's charged, but Air Blast is described to be a metallic champagne, so you can see that champagne peachy like vibe to it, whereas Air is straight on a white. And Endgame is not similar to any of the shades within the Last of Airbender palette, as there are more shades in the Legend of Korra palette. Like, the Legend of Korra palette actually has 15 shades, whereas Avatar The Last Airbender palette only has 12. And the last shades that can look fairly similar to each other is Comet and Firebending. So Comet is described to be a matte, vivid crimson shade, and it's darker. Oh my goodness, my dog wants me to open the door again. Sorry, guys. Pebbles, can you please make up your mind? I'm trying to film here. So Comet is that vivid red shade, and it looks darker to me, whereas Firebending looks lighter and even perhaps has a undertone of orange. So if you see me looking down, that's because both palettes are here and I'm trying to describe the shades to you, the differences, similarities I see without having to swatch it for you guys. And maybe even Vortex and Spirits, just like Quicksand and Spirits can look similar to each other, Vortex and Spirits can actually look fairly similar to each other. So Vortex is described as a matte warm sandal brown with golden pinpoints. So again, Vortex is just this satin formula, but Spirits is a shimmer is a shimmer. I'm just doubting myself now if I'm pronouncing that correct, but shimmer formula. Oh my gosh, it still sounds like I'm saying similar. I meant shimmer formula. Okay, I give up. Okay, but Vortex is a satin and Spirits is a metallic, or they're a shimmer for blah, blah, blah. I give up. I sound so dumb right now. Anyways, but Vortex and Spirits do kind of have similar depth, but Vortex is because it's a satin formula, it will act more like a matte, because if you blend away and you don't tap with your finger to make those sparkles stay, it will act more like a matte, and maybe the reflex might show up a little bit, but if you want most of the reflex to show, the best is to apply with your finger on those satin formulas. And then though the depths look fairly similar, Vortex to me is just darker. And also one thing is that the Avatar The Last Airbender palette actually did not have a tie-dye shade in there, whereas the Legend of Korra did, and the tie-dye shade in the Legend of Korra palette is Future Industries, and I don't know if it's gonna look similar to any of the shades within the Last Airbender palette until I play around with this palette. But yeah, pretty much that's it. Those are the similarities between both of the palettes. And last two things that I have to swatch for you guys is the Naga and Pabu. Is he upside down? Okay, he's not. Or she. Pabu and Naga lip creams, the Kiss Fresh lip creams, and Naga is a polar bear dog and Pabu is just a red panda. So anyways, what I was saying is that these are inspired by two other spirit animals that you see in the Legend of Korra show, and then one is a nude while the other is a deeper color. So I'm just gonna pull up the description for you guys for these. Basically, the Loyal Friend, which was inspired by Naga, is described to be a soft, warm nude color. And perhaps I can notice that this nude color does have a pink undertone to it. So to me, that because of that pink undertone, it just looks more wearable. This reminds me of a liquid lipstick formula, but more, well, depending on the liquid lipstick formulas you have, they can be fairly drying or very comfortable. So it has that velvety, moussey feel that some liquid lipstick formulas have, but it's in the form of a cream, so it's more hydrating than sorry, I was watching and I can't get the patchiness to go away because the darker shades are just seem to be patchy. But what I was saying is that because of the cream formula, it's more hydrating. So again, Loyal Friend, which is inspired by Naga up here, is just described to be a soft, warm nude. And then Partner in Crime is described to be a deep wine red inspired by Pabu. So yeah, that's it for today's video, you all. I hope you guys enjoy this video. More videos will be coming soon, and this is the first time I actually done an unboxing video, so I hope that you guys enjoyed some new content, because usually I do not do unboxing videos and swatching videos in one, or I just don't do unboxing videos at all. But you know, always nice to try something new and see if your viewers will like it, and if they do, maybe when I get more Colourpop collections in the future, I will unbox it. Like, I didn't unbox my Aurora Struck Colourpop collection, and so that video never had an unboxing video, but you did see me create a look with that palette. So I don't want to keep you guys any longer. That's it, guys. Bye.